What I didn't realize about ESGR is that it's actually a DoD organization. And so when I was coming to this event here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the luncheon on a weekend, I was like, oh, geez, you know, what was General Sergeant Oak's going to say? Or I saw he would be there. And then the first thing that hit me was, when you look at the symbol, it's DoD. That's part of what we do here. And what it is it's for guard reserves. And what we realized, or realized as we sat there for the presentation, was that it's not only for to educate the reserve forces that are coming back from demobilization or knowing about before they mobilize, or mobilization before they deploy, but also for our own formations. As you start to get ready to go for what we call ARC or JIN, or as you start to downsize, it's just a support that DoD says, hey, we put a lot of trust, we put a lot of burden on our reserve forces, and you know there's some things that go with it. And so their sole purpose is to facilitate the support for our mobilized reserve components.
Because they're going to give a kind of a one over the world kind of look at this thing, what I would say to you is, back up at Fort Drum and back up at Fort Devens, tie into these folks and have them come down, whether it's at a battle assembly, your 2-day weekend that you ain't got a lot of time to do a lot of stuff, or sitting down with you personally as a commander or as the command sergeant major of the organization and say, okay, what can you do for my soldiers and I? How can you help us? Because that's what they do. They're here to help the soldiers. And oh, by the way, linking it into the civilian employees or the community. I wish I would have known about this organization, so as I look people in the eye and say, thanks for your service, time to go home now, I could say, and oh, by the way, here's how I can help you, we can help you. So again, one of my agendas as I go back up to Fort Drum and Fort Devens is to meet with the ESGR folks that are up in those locations and sit down and say, how could you help the soldiers that are up here at Fort Drum and Fort Devens? So,
let's see the guy here. Oh, okay. So let me ask this question: how many people know what ESGR is? But anyway, we're a Department of Defense organization. Okay. It was established basically in 1972. It's a volunteer base. Across the country, Europe, and all territories, we have representatives, okay? Within the continental United States, it's about 4,500. In New Jersey, we have anywhere from 130 to 165 volunteers, including 3 full-time people. Resident experts concerning NJESGR, okay, that's all of us. And the primary role is to inform and educate both employers and members of the Guard and Reserves, okay? If I use the terminology reserve, I'm talking about all 7 SEALs. Throw the Guard into the Reserve side of the house too. We work under Title 38 of the U.S. Code, Chapter 43, which is the Uniformed Services Employment Reemployment Rights Act. Okay? And it protects, basically what it does is it pertains to your civilian job and protects your civilian job. We gave you a folder here today. In the folder you have a blue booklet on the left-hand side, or an off-blue booklet, kind of a grayish blue thing. That's the law, NJESGR law in a nutshell. It's written simple, so that what you read is the meaning you're going to get out of it. It's not written in lawyers' jargon, nothing against the lawyers. But we made it simple, so it's easy to understand. Ombudsman, when somebody talks to me about something, I tell them to go talk to this guy, Ombudsman. I never send them to lawyers, I send them to the non-lawyer side of the house. Keep it on a smooth playing field, okay? Basically what happens is, we have both in our ombudsman, we have both lawyers and non-lawyers in the ombudsman. They're all basically certified, okay, to be mediators in that. But we have found over the years that if you're one of our ESGR ombudsmen and you go out in the field to do a presentation with us or to talk to somebody, corporations find out you're a lawyer, the first thing they want to do is bring the corporate lawyers in because they feel, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So if you're a non-lawyer person, just a regular mediator certified, we send that guy in and he's not, then, keeps things smoothed over and nobody gets upset. Some employers do get upset. Educate, inform, okay? Recognize supportive employers, brief reservists, which we're doing here today, and then mediate issues, which is our ombudsman people. approximately 17,000 men and women that are in uniform within the state of New Jersey. This slide pertains to the state of New Jersey, okay? And in all different branches. That's who we serve. We take care of all those people. New Jersey employers, both public and private, okay, sector.
Okay.
One of the new things, there's some new guidance coming out. They just threw this in here so you can be aware of it. Okay, this is the Assistant Secretary of Defense, Mr. McCarthy. His highest priority for ESGR in 2011 is to execute an effective employment initiative in which we use all of our capabilities to increase the ability of current and potential members of the reserve components to be employed to the full extent of their ability. What else we can say? Military outreach. All right. We talked about providing training and guidance, promote assistance with unit employer outreach events, and assist with employer relationships and USERA training and all that stuff, which we're going to talk some more about today. And military rights, okay? What is here for you also pertains to your boss. Under the federal law, he has to do it. We can't do it in 7 days. We have to turn it over to the Department of Labor, bench side of the house. And then they take it from there. They're like the 155 artillery, so to speak. Okay? And they get involved in it. The blue booklet that you have, other military requirements, okay, you've got to provide prior notice to the employer. You want to, in this day and age with things that are going on, you want to give your employer as much notice as possible about deployment orders, weekend drills, whatever kind of annual training you're going on, or whatever it is, provided you have that information. You don't have to give it in writing. You can tell them verbally is acceptable under the law. Okay? To be protected under USERA, you got to serve under honorable conditions, return to work in accordance with USERA guidelines. There's a little pocket card in your packet that explains 90% of the stuff on it. Okay? There's the requirements in days of service and when you have to report back. Most people right now are falling in this category right here. Okay? So the deployment's in. The 5-year rule, okay? You're entitled to leave absence from your employer up to but not exceeding 5 years. Okay, cumulative, voluntary, limit periods of service. On the 5-year cumulative, if you get a new employer, you're entitled to another leave of absence up to but not exceeding 5 years. So if you change employers, the clock starts running over, all over. Okay. Our ombudsman, I like to call them mediators, more than ombudsman. They're specially trained volunteers, okay? They have to be certified. One of the requirements by DOD, in order to do this job as an ombudsman, you have to be certified. If you are not certified, you cannot do the job. I am not certified. I can tell you what to do, I can listen to what you say, and make recommendations on what I think you should do, okay? And I've been very successful with that. These guys get involved in it. We have a co-ombudsman director, Ken Baker, who is a non-lawyer type guy, okay? His counterpart is a lawyer. They're neutrals, okay? Their goal is to help the parties reach an agreement to meet the requirements of, as outlined in the USERA law. Okay. Applies to all members of the uniformed service and the federal government status, duty status, okay? If you're a guard or state active duty, on state active duty, self-employed, it doesn't apply. Okay, there's a different law. The laws. There's USERA. There's the state of New Jersey that covers the state militia and National Guard, okay? And some other certain reserve components that will go. And there's the gentleman you need to talk to. If you're a public employee, he is a good source to talk to, because Colonel Dilly knows the law on that end of the line, okay? The other one up here is the local one here at Dix for our full-time people, or you can call the 800 number here on the bottom. There's the website, but instead of org, it's MIL now, which will, if you do it, takes you back to the SGR org, okay, and the site. thing you have to remember is that if you are not from the state of New Jersey or from a different state, if you go into the national website, you can pull up a map of the United States, click on that state on that map, and it will tell you who the full-time people are with ESGR in that state and give you other information that you need to know. Employer relations is nothing more than basically trying to balance the three-legged stool between family troops and employer. A lot of common sense has to go into that to make it work. Otherwise, it doesn't work and creates a big problem for everybody concerned. What else do we do? Briefing of bosses, yeah, we do that. Every time we do an awards ceremony, we take and do a 5-minute briefing to the boss what your service is all about, just so they understand. And most of them appreciate it. Boss lifts pays big dividends. If we can get one of your bosses on a boss lift going to wherever, in the United States to wherever you have wherever their employee is drilling, okay? We can marry them up with that employee, and they can become that employee's buddy, so to speak, for the day. And whatever the employee does, so does the employer. And man, let me tell you something, the employers love it. Maybe it's just because they want to get away from the headaches of the grind of
problems.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Can't give them that far.
They don't want to go that far. They don't want to go that far.
We get up to training sites around the United States, okay? We've gone and taken bosses on a 3-day overnighter to New Orleans. We've gone to Tyndale Air Force Base and taken them down there for a day and flown back again.
They've actually done here.
Yeah, they do them here. ASA does them here. They do a real nice one here, which I think is great. And even though it's in-house, you don't really go anywhere other than getting a helicopter and fly out to one of the ranges. Bosses love it because they get MREs, you get to fire a rifle, a pistol, see a fire demonstration, you go to a mountain site, and they get to eat dinner with the employee, and they also, if they qualify, they get the ribbon, the medal that goes with it for them. So, and they love that. This pays us big dividends. They love it. We try and get as many on it. You have a boss, or somebody has a boss, they want to, show them a good time and show them what's going on with what they do with their job and everything and why they're doing everything. The thing you do is to pull the full-time people down here and get them on one of their boss lifts, even if it's only out of refueling flight. Come out, let them lay in the back of the plane, look through the mirrors, see the pilot in the fighter plane come up, and wave to them and see the inside of the cockpit, the whole 9 yards. And they love it. And it helps smooth things over. Statement of support, okay? We encourage all employers to sign these statement of support, okay? Yes, they are. Other awards, Patriot Award, which is the bottom line one that you as a reservist can put them in for. New part of it is your spouses can do it. Above and Beyond Award, okay, is an award that is presented at the request of the state chair. Where I work up in the northern part of the state, and this is one of 2 units that I have down here that I also represent with NJESGR. Anything that goes in a Patriot Award, I read all the narrative and I make recommendations down here that maybe it should go to the next level above and beyond. We got the 7 Seals Award, okay, presented at the discretion of the state chair, okay, individuals and organizations. Pro Patria Award, the highest award the state chair can give to an employer, okay, runs in conjunction with the Freedom Award. The Freedom Award is the highest award that national can give out to an employer, okay. Broken down into small private employer under 500, large private sector employer over 500, and a public sector employer. Okay, there it is. This one is a big fanfare. Okay, it goes down. We recommend who goes down. One of those 3 goes down, and it goes down there. They make the final decisions from all around the United States and that. And closed on January 17th through the COK 84. Here's the bottom is nothing more than a breakdown of where all these awards came from. We do a luncheon at the Vietnam Memorial for the Pro Patria, and we also do a luncheon and it's a dinner rather at the Vietnam Memorial for the Freedom Award nominees. Okay, contact information. You have the national number, the national website. You got the 3 full-time people here, Tammy, Hank, and Tyler, who are here with Dick's. You got their website that's there, and there's the website number for the Department of Labor, Veterans Employment Training Service in New Jersey.